prioritize super heavily.
I love that they're going to hover the Quinn before locking in the Renekton. Just say, like, I know what you want to do. I know what you want to play in this top lane. But they go for a first pick here for Peanut with this Graves locked in. Incredibly strong jungler. And then also just a safe blind in the mid lane.
Exactly, trying to get Xiye onto something that he can control the pace that mid lane. Be curious to see what they decide to go with up against that. You could go towards something like the Galio, which Angel has played a little bit of, or just go to a much more kind of far back, let's farm this out in the likes of the Azir.
SofM going to go for the Lee Sin, and Angel immediately locks in the Syndra. We are rocketing through this draft, Agda. Our jungle matchup already locked in, and SofM once again gets the second jungle pick. He has an 80% counter pick rate in playoffs.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane, especially when he wasn't given a huge amount of counter pick rate in the regular split, but definitely in playoffs we've seen the rise of SofM, and he's been working wonders. The only thing is, with that Graves on the opposite side for Peanut much faster, clear, should be able to get onto the map a lot quicker. Now, won't have that same mid-jungle priority that we expect when we see Peanut and Xiye because of the favorable Syndra matchup, but still, we expect Peanut to have good influence in this early game.
We are going to see the Volibear locked in once again as well. That's going to be heading to Langx in the top lane. You'd expect maybe this kind of crazy support Volibear. We'll wait and see. I'm expecting it for Langx. Over to the bans, though. As Jhin going to be the first ban, despite no AD carries being picked up. Could open up the Ashe here for Kramer.
And that's what they're angling for here, getting rid of the Jhin, making sure they can first pick that Ashe. And when you pair it alongside something like the Volibear, who did get nerfed on 10-16, not as fast at running with that Q speed, so he does need something to pair with that engage, and Ashe slots perfectly in there.
Immediately, the Bard being banned away, a respect ban towards Mark, but also ties incredibly well alongside that Ashe if they do go in that direction for Kramer. Well, let's bear in mind when we think of Kramer, Ezreal very much up there as a priority pick as well, although Ezreal does feel like he's fallen off in priority here in playoffs.
Certainly, and I think that's why we will see the Ashe here. Unless it's banned away from Suning. As we talked about, it works great for the composition that LGD are working with, and especially when Langx in this top side isn't going to have the best of times. Although he has locked in the Volibear, knowing he's into the Renekton. Renekton, when he does get to the kind of level 6, does win out effectively in that matchup. You have to build very armor heavy as this Volibear to go even in this matchup, so expect that Langx will be very happy if he can get some help from something like an Ashe pick.
Double ban on towards Mark here. The Ashe does come through for Kramer in the end, as you'd expect. And now over to Suning to lock this composition out and go for their duo bot lane here. You'd expect maybe something like the Nautilus from SwordArt. That's been something he's lent on very heavily this split.
Especially something that can provide a little bit more of an engage tool here for Suning, because you kind of relying on the Scat of the Week to set up in these fights. So having something like the Nautilus or even the Leona here as well could work super well for them. And I think when you have this Ezreal locked in for Huanfeng, unlocking SwordArt from that bottom side of the map, working with SofM as we talked about, getting them out onto the map could work great in this situation.
Yeah, so the Leona locked in instead of this Nautilus still offers that same hard engage, still a way into the plays. Does mean that Nautilus would be available for Mark if he opts into that route himself. Outside of that, though, we're moving away from the top champions for Mark, and we're moving into the territory of things that they've been preparing for playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, Mark has looked great on a lot of these mage supports. We saw the looks against ADC Gaming, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him potentially go back towards one of the mages. The only thing is, when you're up against a Leona, even though she's paired with an Ezreal, still a pretty potent lane that you can set up for a lot of jungle attention for, so I do like that they've gone back towards a more tank-oriented support.
Yeah, very defensive bottom lane here as well. With the Braum locked in, it's going to be very safe on the bottom side. Braum can be a little bit difficult to get out of that lane on the bottom side, though, so we'll see how Mark is going to be able to do in terms of linking up to Peanut in that early and mid game, because that's one of the biggest strengths of LGD.
Yeah, and when we get to the late game, when we look at these two compositions, it's kind of a bit back and forth. I think LGD definitely have the edge, having that extra Graves in there, the double AD carry, but certainly this is going to be a lot on towards Mark to see if he can stop the engages from the likes of this from this Renekton, from this Lee Sin, dissuading them from being able to get into the fight and allowing the long-range poke from the Zoe and the long-range of the Ashe to facilitate LGD in these team fights.
And I have to say, I'm looking towards the top half of the map for both of these teams here. When you've got a Lee Sin locked in for SofM, you've got a Syndra for Angel, you've got a Renekton for Bin. You expect them to lock these champions in to try and dominate their laning phases.
And that's what they'll need to do here. Syndra works super well in setting up for some of those jungle ganks, especially with a Lee Sin. Getting that Zoe down nice and early will unlock Angel from this mid lane. And then, as we said, going towards that top side works super well too, especially when you look at that pre-level 6 Volibear. Not having that escape makes it a lot easier to lock him down.
I will say, despite the nerfs, yesterday we saw a bit of Volibear action in the top side of the map, and it looked pretty damn good. So we'll see if Bin is going to be able to take Langx on. I will say, when it comes to player specifics, I'm going to give the matchup to Bin every single day of the week in that top side of the map. We're about ready to get into game number 1 of our first regional qualifier for the World Championship. We've got a big old drum to round it out as well. We're onto the map. Suning against LGD. Two organizations that, Suning have never made it to the World Championship. This series could be the decider for them to make it to that World Championship for the first time ever. On the side of LGD, it's been 5 years, Dagda. There is a legacy here that needs to be reborn.
And it feels like LGD, this is the start of that legacy being reborn, making it all the way to semi-finals, now finding themselves at the cusp of going to that World Championship. Whereas on Suning's side, it feels like these rookies really coming into their own this split, with Huanfeng looking amazing, Bin looking great as well. This is where we get to see if they can make that miracle run and hit the world stage in their first year of competitive League of Legends.
We'll have to wait and see, because there's a couple of rookies in this game that I'm keeping my eyes on. Huanfeng in the bottom lane, a rookie that has looked like a superstar AD carry. His damage numbers are off the charts. Bin as well, a rookie in that top side. Technically, Peanut, a rookie in the LPL, if you really want to look at it from that lens.
The only thing here for Huanfeng, though, is he's going to be left on his own for a little bit, so expect SwordArt once he does hit that level 4, level 5, and Huanfeng, especially with this teleport, should be safe to stay down on this bottom side. SwordArt getting out onto the map, working with SofM, trying to... I'd love to see these ganks going towards top side, setting Bin up for success.
I will say Renekton's going to struggle a little bit on the early stages of these trades, just because Langx can get his passive on the wave. Bin is going real aggressive, though. Getting that level 2 power spike means he's able to just threaten a complete all-in, and means Langx has to back away from the wave.
Yeah, and nice job here from Bin. He'll be able to get the shove in here, so it means that before you have any sort of pesky ganks towards that top side, he can get a ward for safety. So he's going to be in relatively good shape. As SofM pathing down towards this bot side, I'm surprised to see him pathing down towards this lane, because when you think of where his strong lanes are, it's not down on this bottom side.
Peanut moving towards his top lane here. Will be spotted on a ward if he goes through the river to try and make this gank happen. Bin maybe a little suspicious of what might be going on, and is just going to toe around and try and get the CS. He will now be spotted as Peanut moves into the lane. Bin has his flash available. Maybe can escape. Langx looking for the stun. Flash comes out as respect from Bin.
And this is why I'm surprised to see SofM going for this route, but Kramer will be backing off.
Yeah, SofM cannot win this. This is 1v3 right now. Trouble bubble. And SofM just has to dip away.
Exactly why you don't path towards weak side. You have Kramer and Mark who are able to come up, contest you on towards this scuttle. Now you're left scuttleless as SofM. You've lost your advantage in top lane as well as mid lane.
Angel's out of mana right now. Peanut's going to move in. This could be 2 flashes and 2 ganks as Kramer now engaged upon the bottom side of the map. Forced out of the play himself. The stun comes out on SwordArt. That's a heavily won trade for Suning.
So LGD, at least at the moment, off to, despite that trade bot side, a great start here. Double scuttle for Peanut means he's going to be miles ahead of SofM, and especially as a Graves, this feels real good.
And this is kind of what you expect when it comes to Graves versus Lee Sin, right? In terms of farming, Graves is going to be far and away more impactful. The thing is, though, Peanut's also been more impactful in the lane so far.
And that's the thing here for SofM, was just because he took this route starting from top to bot, as we talked about, not able to get the help from bot side, doesn't get the scuttle, forced off of both of them, hasn't, because of his clear speed, been able to interact with the lanes, and Peanut is already off to a fantastic start. So we'll need to see what SofM can do to try and right his wrong so far, but with that flash being burnt in the top side, it's a little bit more difficult for him to play through this top lane.
So I want to ask you then, Dagda, because we talked about the compositions a little bit, especially when it comes to the later stages of the game. But how do we get to that late stage of the game? What is the early game meant to look like? Because I mentioned SofM getting into these lanes, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be as easy as I thought.
Now, it won't be at this stage. For Suning, though, they want to play off of a 2-item spike, specifically around Huanfeng's 2 items and the power that Angel gets off of that Luden's completion. So they'll be really strong about the 12 to 13 minute mark when we start to see at least that Luden's Echo completed for Angel. However, a lot of that power is going to be matched on the opposite side with Xiye and Kramer having similar spikes off of that 1 to 2 items. So realistically, it's going to come down to the actual way these team fights fall apart or fall open in these mid-game, because it's really hard to call on either side who's actually going to be able to come out on top.
Well, SofM is going to sneak himself a dragon here. Just zips over the wall. He's got a control ward. And there's absolutely no vision of this one. Peanuts move into that half of the map. I don't know if he's going to arrive in time. 2000 has now been spotted by a hawk shot. SofM suddenly in dicey territory here. Sonic Wave goes out with the smite. Might just be able to secure it, but Peanuts about to arrive over the wall. Smite goes in. SofM does still have his flash, but a ward hop will do. Onto the blast cone. And he's got away with daylight robbery, Dagda.
And just having those Krugs there to keep himself safe as well. So not getting caught up with the sleepy trouble bubbles. LGD not really able to cover all sides. And a nice pick up there from SofM. When you've got an Ezreal in the bottom lane, it feels real good to get that first dragon.
And actually, it makes a lot of sense that Lee Sin would get away with daylight robbery because he's blind anyway. You can't see whether it's daylight or not. So I guess it's just robbery at that point. SofM gets away with it, though, and now Peanut wants to answer in the bottom side of the map. You can see Xiye moving over as well. Xiye not a ton of mana to work with here. Looks like the recalls will be channeled and cancelled, but I think they're going to back away from the play in the end.
And it's interesting to see LGD not being able to get control of these early dragons. We talked about Peanut having full control, Kramer and Mark doing a great job on his bottom side to keep in check.
Nice little dodge from Angel there on the trouble bubble as Xiye extends the trade, but won't be able to find what he was looking for there, trying to put some pressure onto Angel. Wave cleared, Angel will be able to reset once again. Look at the damage out of Langx, though. Bin is starting to lose out in these trades.
And that's where a lot of this is coming down towards him not having the flash. Makes it a lot more difficult for him to play aggressively in this lane, especially when he's not 100% certain as to where Peanut is, and giving a bit of time here for Langx to go towards the double starter item.
Well, we question whether Mark would be able to get out of that bottom lane. Apparently the answer is absolutely yes. Peanut goes into the jungle, but he's kicked straight into Bin, over the wall with Dominus, but he's gone too far because there is a whole bunch of players from LGD here, and suddenly Bin's alone. Slice and Dice won't be available for himself. Stunned up and taken down here. Eventually, first blood goes the way of Langx.
Big mistake from Bin. Xiye had already started moving. You knew that Mark was there with Peanut. Outmanned and outgunned. Bin goes down.
And importantly, Bin hadn't recalled prior to any of this. So while we'd seen Langx already head back to base and he had a Doran's shield and a Doran's ring, now he gets to go back and get a phage on top of it, and we're just going to see the Bramble Vest. Or in fact, no, changing tact here. He's going aggressive in the top lane.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would have been very surprised to see Bin, but no, she's not going to follow. Bin going for such a defensive build tells me just how worried he is, because this Renekton can actually do a decent job of fighting against the Volibear, because you have the Slice and Dice to dodge away from the Storm Splitter, but the fact he's so far behind is a bit worrying, and it's very surprising for Bin. We're going to get a replay, though, of this play where just a nice call from LGD, realizing, hey, look, we outnumber Suning in this play. Let's just pick him off.
Yeah, Bin's staying a little bit too long. He did a good job of surviving for a while, but 1 versus 4, it's just not going to happen. And I have to say, the combo looked great from SofM. It looked like it was going to be the play, but Langx immediately flashes over the wall, and the rest of his squad is there, just waiting for that opportunity.
And I honestly thought it'd be SwordArt who got out of the lane faster. Huanfeng having that TP can burn a bunch of mana, shove in the wave, get back and get into lane without much issues, but Mark being able to rotate first gives that advantage towards LGD. Now again we get these supports roaming about as SwordArt teeters up towards this top side as that Rift Herald is about to spawn.
Yeah, the Rift Herald onto the map here, as you can see, Suning. They got themselves some vision here, but it's LGD that are going to move up first. You can see Kramer, Huanfeng, stuck in the bottom side of the map. SwordArt is going to be moving, but I don't think that realistically this is something that can be contested from this side of Suning.
And this is something LGD actually don't do a huge amount of the time. We talked about the Kramer attacks, the 2 lads in the opening segment. Kramer oftentimes stays in that bottom lane just farming, trying to see if they can trade that Rift Herald for plates. But this time around, it's actually Huanfeng making that play.
SwordArt caught by a bubble. No follow-up here, but they're not really looking for follow-up. They're not looking to try and pick off a Leona here. They're looking just to secure this Herald.
Yeah, LGD will get it. This is where it makes sense for LGD to put this much pressure here, especially at this point in the game where Huanfeng has only got a tier for himself. Suning realized, hey look, we're not going to be able to fight for this objective. Let's instead do what we want here with the Ezreal and gets him farming up towards those 2 items.
And you can see the difference in that bottom lane. 20 CS lead right now. Kramer will get a couple more off of this wave, but realistically, that lead is starting to build in favor of Huanfeng. He's already got himself a tier. When he recalls, you'd expect maybe be able to finish off a Mana Moon for himself. He's going to get that stacking. With the Cull in his inventory as well, he is well on the way towards those 2 items.
Back's coming in though for this next dragon. So obviously Peanut just getting back, finishing off his first jungle item. We're not going to have a huge amount of these first item completions though on LGD side, especially with Xiye leaving his back so late. He has no mana, so they won't really be able to contest until Xiye gets back on the map. And more than likely, we'll see LGD throw that Rift Herald down mid to create the pressure that they need to secure that first dragon for themselves.
They do need to find themselves some mid priority first to be able to make that play though. And against Angel's Syndra, that can be a little bit difficult, especially since Angel, he's got himself his boots already. He's got a lost chapter. You cannot underestimate the amount of damage Syndra will do with just those items.
It looks though with Suning though, they just want to give this up. They haven't tried to contest it. We didn't see SofM get into River to get some vision for this. They're well aware this is where LGD are going to put their attention, and SwordArt will just confirm that, spotting out Mark.
Yeah, SofM channeling a recall here. I don't know if he'll actually follow up on that one. Just the vision cleared there in the bottom lane. I will say there is some presence here at the bottom side of the map from Suning. It doesn't feel like they're willing to just completely concede this dragon for free. They're going to force Peanut to at least make that Herald play. 1v1 in the top side here as Langx finds himself a shield, but you expect these 2 top laners to spar a little bit but back away.
But the TP is available for Bin, so I imagine Langx is trying to stay in this top lane to make that as awkward as possible to channel that teleport for any sort of fight that kicks off, but Langx not finishing his back, sticking around to complete this wave.
Oh, Bin missed the cannon. It's a disaster for Suning, and you can see it reflected in the 500 gold lead. We are still at a pretty even point in the game, it has to be said, as LGD now looking at possibly starting this dragon off. They've been toying with the idea for a little while. You can see Peanut moving towards his mid lane. Xiye dodges from the stuns. SofM also missing the Sonic Wave. The bubble won't land, but priority gained in that mid lane for LGD means they can now move to this dragon.
They have also separated Mark up towards his top side of the, well, at least the mid lane anyway, so gonna have to try and rotate him back down. I imagine that what we're looking at from LGD here is trying to get some sort of Herald play down in the bottom, or at least down in this bottom side for a bit. But Peanut, if and on about whether he wants to go for it.
Yeah, Peanut hovering now towards this bottom side has been managed to get himself a plate, clears another wave as he now gets an opportunity to reset. Peanut drops the Herald in the bottom side of the map, and Huanfeng, full respect of what's about to go down. He knows the jungler's here. He knows that he has to be real cautious for a dive.
And Kramer's usually the one that does get a lot of these early turret plates and early terror.
Oh, Xiye's aggressed upon by SofM, kicked away. And SofM, I guess he just wanted a bit of sparring practice after all.
But going back to the point, Kramer, he is the one that is the benefactor of a lot of this early gold, and especially when we look at his first terror rate, it's nearly at 70% for Kramer. He is the one that gets a heap of gold in these early stages of the game, and it's LGD looking to set him up. Once again, he gets a whole bunch of this turret plate gold and can now turn that very quickly towards that Blade of the Rune King.
Blade of the Rune King, such a huge spike as well, but recall not quite cancelled. Valiant effort from SwordArt, but not quick enough.
And I like the call here from Kramer to go towards the Blade of the Rune King. We've seen a lot of people go towards the Essence Reaver as of late, but specifically when your team composition spikes so heavily around Xiye's 2-item mark, Peanut's 2-item mark, having the earlier spiking damage items makes a lot of sense for LGD's composition, and also giving a lot of kite-back potential from the likes of Bin.
Nice to have the lifesteal during these fights as well, when Bin's going to be sprinting at your face, getting that self-peel with the movement speed as well. There's a lot of reasons to go for the Blade of the Rune King on Ashe, and see Bin, he's doing his damnedest to farm himself up a Storm on the top side. He's got himself a 10 CS lead, and we are getting to the point in the matchup now, especially with Langx not finishing his first item with a Black Cleaver in Bin's pocket, where you'd expect Bin to start to win out that 1v1. Oh, that's a bubble coming down onto Huanfeng here. Flash is available, but doesn't matter while he's asleep. There's stun to follow up, and that is just perfect from LGD.
Xiye looking good on this Zoe, just able to pick off Huanfeng there, and the instant follow-up from Kramer meant there was nowhere to go for the Ezreal. Huanfeng drops, as does the tower, and now for the first time we got a little bit of a gold lead open up for LGD.
Dude, the tower plates are even as SofM tries to steal away the chickens, but Peanut's on the scene. Managed to get his smite off in time. The wave will be caught by Xiye in the end in this mid lane. And we are seeing quite a slow start to things, but this was a nice little pick-off from Xiye and Huanfeng, just not expecting it at all.
And just perfect timing from Xiye. See the blue handoff going over towards the Syndra, so finds that moment of opportunity to make his way down towards his bottom side after having shoved out the mid lane. And now you can look for LGD to double down on this advantage. Kramer moving towards that top side, Rift Herald's about to spawn. LGD just want to use these advantages to gain more.
And it feels good to see Xiye on this Zoe finding a pick around the map, because when you think of Xiye, you think of his Twisted Fate, his Galio, finding ways to get onto the map and help the side lanes. And now that he's got an item or two for himself, he's able to shove out in this mid lane, able to get out onto the map and create a lead for his team.
Xiye's really impressed me this game. When we look at him back on DMO, he had a lot of struggles in trying to figure out what his identity was in that team. But now coming in towards LGD, it feels like he's been freed in a lot of situations, being able to move into a lot of different champions, and still having this impact where we can have these roams moving towards side lanes and facilitating LGD with these early game advantages they love.
And we're suddenly starting to see ourselves at a point in the game where, despite the fact that the goal lead isn't that significant just yet, LGD are really starting to ramp up the pressure, grabbing themselves another tower on the top side, another Rift Herald going the way of Peanut. Finally, an answer comes out from Suning in this bottom side of the map. But with a Herald coming down in that mid lane, this could be 3 towers to 1 here in favor of LGD.
Yeah, this tower is most certainly going to go down. Does get picked up there by LGD, and even though we look at the gold lead, not exactly massive for LGD right now, they're actually winning out when it comes to the timing and the item choices they've gone for. So when we look at the items, great. We've already got that Luden's Echo and that Blade of the Rune King. The other thing we need to look towards, though, is Langx, because as we highlighted in Big Ban, oftentimes you'll see a Volibear go towards a very heavy armor build when going up against Renekton. Like early Bramble vests, going towards much more about, I need to survive this lane. The fact that Langx did such a good job in this early laning phase means he's still able to go towards this Triforce build. It's not like it's been delayed, and Langx is spiking perfectly at the same time alongside Xiye and Kramer.
And importantly, they're spiking just as an Ocean Drake is about to hit the Rift Dagger. And we are just at the 2-item mark for Huanfeng. That's when we talk about Ezreal really starting to come online. His Mura mana isn't quite stacked up just yet, but there's definitely a decent amount of damage on the side of Suning, and they want to find themselves a pick before this dragon comes onto the play. Kicked against the wall, and Kramer suddenly realizes that he's in a whole bunch of trouble. SofM there as Angel finishes off the kill. Now the fight extends as Langx locked up by the Leona here. He's going to be able to get out with his life, but LGD may be able to answer here. You can see them grouping up around the river. Huanfeng's got to be careful.
Huanfeng wants to try and group with his team, but he's in a bit of an awkward spot. That doesn't connect. Xiye will get spotted there, though.
Oh, that bubble was so damn close. Huanfeng is lucky to get away with his life. I don't think he saw Xiye over the wall. I think he was just out of range of that vision. Either way, Suning off the back of the pick in that bottom side, now grab themselves a second Drake of the game.
And that was just great setup from Suning. You can see they had full vision control on this bottom side already, so prepping for this dragon early paying dividends.
SofM, he wants himself a bonus Krug off the back of everything else. Has his smite available, he knows it, drops the emote as he slides away from the play. And I want to revisit what happened just a few days ago in our 3rd place match, because that series started off with LGD rolling the first half of game number 1 and then throwing a lead away. This time around, we don't have a dramatic lead throw.
Yeah, and it does feel like a little bit of a throw here from Kramer as well. A little bit overextended on this bottom side, especially when you know, hey look, Dragon's the next objective. Giving a free pick like that across to Suning is going to work wonders. And a composition like Suning's, where you've got the Lee Sin, the Syndra, even SwordArt as well on this Leona, is going to do great when they can find someone isolated like that.
And it feels like now Suning are in a position to start to build a lead of their own. They kind of conceded a lot of that early game in favor of LGD, but they did a good job of not fighting anywhere, not leaning into the plays while Peanut was ahead. And now we are getting to a point where perhaps they can start to look for these plays themselves. Ezreal for Huanfeng here now finished stacking up that Muramana, and we'll see where they go next on the map as SwordArt looking for something in this jungle, but Peanut's going to clear the vision.
Suning are doing a great job of reading what LGD want to do, though. You can see Xiye in this top side of the map. We're going to have Langx at least going towards mid, more than likely towards bot. This 1-3-1 we talked about, trying to be set up by LGD. Suning have prioritized moving several members towards this top side to try and pick off Xiye and trying to just optimize their ability to deal with this 1-3-1 push.
And just take a look at the scoreboard here, because Huanfeng just finished off building a QSS. That is massive respect going the way of Xiye here. He does not want to get caught out by the Trouble Bubble or by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow as a Kramer.
A lot of members from LGD positioned up towards this Baron, though. They're trying to vie for the ability to get control here. And when you've got a Blade of the Ruin King, you've got that Volibear and Peanut on this Graves, they take a Baron very quickly.
So I'm curious how LGD are going to play this next one, because obviously I'm not expecting either of these teams to just start Baron off. This isn't top esports we're talking about here. We don't usually see either of these guys just blast a 20-minute Baron for the banter. But I am curious if LGD do go into this kind of 1-3-1 style of play, because 1-3-1 and split pushing in general is a strategy that often doesn't work at the LPL.
It is when you are fully committed to that. It's more LGD use it as a way to gain tempo advantage, pushing waves out so then they can find 4 versus 5, having Xiye with this unsealed spellbook. You punish the fact that Angel is lacking that teleport option.
Angel finds himself a little bit of alone time on this top side. Xiye not willing to step up because he knows SwordArt is hanging around the play. This means that second tower now in favor of Suning. They're not quite able to get that magical 3 of all of the tier 1s that LGD have for themselves, but at least gaining a little bit more map control on the top side of the map.
And it feels like, at least, even though we saw LGD making these early plays, getting these early towers for themselves, they've taken a step back. And it's Suning who are starting to get control of the map. Full vision control on this top side for them when we look towards the jungle. They're having the lanes pushed in their favor, and LGD, not having this teleport available along Langx, don't want to overextend for fear that they're going to have multiple members of Suning dive in.
And I have to say, when we look across these teams, I'm glad that the way this draft has gone in game number 1, we have a good amount of like signature champions coming in. When you think of Peanut, this split, it's the Graves that he's really been playing. When you think of SofM, it's the Lee Sin that is his number 1 pick. Huanfeng on the Ezreal, and Xiye, maybe not a signature, but maybe getting caught out here as he moves away on the Zoe. We'll get out with his life here, but it's good to see these players on champions they can flex on a little bit.
It does feel like we're starting to get the team identities as well with the decision making, because we never prided LGD for their mid to, well, at least their late game shot calling. We've always looked at Suning as the slower paced team that would do quite well in those late game scenarios. So the fact that we're starting to see Suning taking over in this game, understanding how they can punish what LGD want to do, it feels like prime Suning.
Hang on, we got Xiye caught out here. The cleanse came through. Is it going to be enough? Apparently not, because SofM gives him a foot to the face and takes a kill onto the mid laner. It's only our 4th kill of the game, but it's also going to be a tower going down in this top side. LGD trying to answer around that dragon.
They weren't able to get any towers for themselves. We talked about Suning doing a great job of setting up these waves for plays, and when they know, they know they're still on Dragon, they're just going to go take an inhibitor.
This is not worth an Ocean Drake, especially when it's only your 2nd Drake here. Peanut is going to be sticking around. The rest of LGD have recalled. Looks like the inhib won't fall on this one, but getting 2 towers across the course of that push. Really nice gold swing, and now you can see Suning, maybe for the first time this game, are ahead in gold.
They're going to go look this mid lane turret as well, though. Langx stuck around to try and protect it, and Suning, just off the back, sneak in behind us.
But we have an engage here from LGD. They want to make a play happen and defend this tower. Peanut stepping forwards, takes a Q to the face, but he's going to be all right on this one as he chases down Huanfeng. Flash forced out of the AD carry. And LGD, now they're the ones with the inside track in this mid lane.
Yeah, they might be able to get this mid lane turret if they had minions here, but minions lagging a little bit behind. Suning should be able to back away and move over, although still taking a good amount of poke here from Xiye.
Yeah, they had to recall to get in onto the play. You can see TP now being used. I believe that's Huanfeng making it into the play there, just to make sure he's there to clear away some of the minions. It is going to be answered in the end by Suning. I like the attempt from LGD. I like that they're willing to force something here.
But this is what we were talking about, is Suning, their superior shot calling in these later portions of the game, paying dividends. They get that top lane inhibitor, and now especially if we start to look towards dragons in the future, where we are going towards the third, even the fourth dragon for either of these squads, you've got a wave pushed in on that top side that can look to really exploit LGD losing that tower.
And you can see that Bin, as we move towards the later stages of the game, he's looking to be a frontline here. He's gone for a Titanic Hydra, which you'd imagine means he's probably going to get a whole bunch more health in his kit over the next couple of items here. So, bit of a different build on that Renekton. I can't say Titanic Hydra is something that I'd expect every game, but Bin, he knows what he's about. He's a confident top lane.
Well, we just... Oh, hang on.
Stun comes in the mid lane, Langx walks away though. His tower finally falls as True Shot Barrage just blasted out. Dodged by everyone.
Bin certainly realizing, look, if we can shove in these side lanes super aggressively, LGD haven't been doing a good job of actually dealing with it. So it's Bin who's going to play hit and run on these side lanes, push them in, and then try to force numbers advantages.
Hang on, the arrow comes in. SofM, though, dashes away to his teammate. He had a split second to get that dash off before the stun came through.
Yeah, he has the Merc Threads as well, which are helping quite a bit. Kramer, though, doesn't want to try and go toe-to-toe with Huanfeng with so many members of
Look how
Suning.
confident Huanfeng is. Stepping up 2v1 here. He doesn't have any teammates nearby. It might be an overstep, but you can see that Huanfeng, this is a guy that trained under Jackie, and you can see that aggression that Jackie always brings on the Ezreal is there.
Well, Peanut and Mark looking to group up here, see if they can catch out Bin, but he's giving the old rope-a-dope moving back and forth around here. They won't be able to find him.
It feels like we've had a lot of attempts at plays this game. We've not seen as much commitment to the plays. And maybe just game one jitters here. We're in a best of 5.
There's a ward there that actually spotted Peanut and Mark, so that's why Bin was playing a little bit skeptical around moving. But Angel here on this top side has just gone, right, well, if you're going to leave me to it, I'm going to shove this wave right the way in.
Yeah, going to force you all the way into your base. And now he can rotate over towards the mid lane where his team is already in the play. Bin has teleport available. Suning setting up control of the map.
Suning are playing this so well, especially when LGD have the option to go towards these double teleports.
Threatening an all-in onto SofM, but he zips over towards the chickens, and he'll get out with his life True Shot Barrage across the team as the smite came through. I believe that was from SofM to grab the chicken. In the meantime, though, as I mentioned before, Bin in that bottom lane, continuing the pressure elsewhere on the map.
And we haven't really seen the LGD engage tools of Xiye and Kramer come up clutch yet. You can try and go for these long-range Ashe arrows, even like an Enchanter, or sorry, Sleepy Trouble Bubble through a wall to see if you can connect on towards Huanfeng or some of the key carries in Suning. But LGD haven't had an opportunity. This hit-and-run stall from Suning has been super strong in this game, and it's not given the opportunity for LGD to catch people out because they're consistently running between lanes trying to deal with all the pressure.
So what do LGD do next? What is the play to get them in a position where these engage tools can be used to proactively make a play instead of just respond?
Well, they need to get vision control back in their jungle. The biggest issue that they're having right now is that Suning can very quickly move between these lanes because they can cut straight through the jungle. If LGD were able to deny that vision, you have to take the long way around as Suning, and it becomes far more difficult to quickly hit these lanes and move.
CC Langx answering the wave on the top side of the map. Importantly, Drake is spawning in 30 seconds. Both teams on 2 Drakes so far. This will be Soul Point on either side of the board here. But we're at a stage now when you look at the items across the board, both teams are feeling strong. Both teams are willing to fight at this stage.
But LGD have priority at River, which makes things a hell of a lot easier, especially when we look at Suning, how they need to try and go forward, go aggressive in towards LGD. They want flanks. They want Bin to be able to come in on the side. If LGD have control of River like this...
Oh, that's a stun onto Peanut. The follow-up is there, but Mark blocks everything beautifully. Redemption to top everyone up. And now they turn onto SofM. Flashes away from the play. Kick through the whole team. Scatter the weak. Look at this from Suning. Peanut forced out of the play. Collateral damage just keeps himself alive. And now into the back of this one. Bin trying to finish them off. Peanut just about surviving, but taken down by SofM in a 2 versus 1. Mark flashes away. Waiting for the Q. It's not going to land onto Mark. And 4-4 on the scoreboard.
Incredible kick from SofM, sets up so much there. And now Suning will turn towards this dragon. Xiye is over the wall, won't even try to make the steal here. Suning have made the play.
And this is why I was so excited to see the Lee Sin from SofM. In onto the Dragon, though. Let's see who's going to grab this one. Smite comes through in the end. True Shot Barrage finishes off Mark. And now they're getting onto Huanfeng. Dashes around the pit, though. Langx doesn't have the damage. The flash comes on in as SofM should be able to finish off the bear. But Xiye is still here, and he's got a lot of damage for himself. Huanfeng back into the play, trying to defend his jungler. Might just be able to do so as Xiye locked up and taken down for the double.
Suning are moving around Xiye perfectly here, not allowing him to get those paddle stars onto the key members. And with blinking health bars, Suning get the dragon. They add more gold to their back pocket, and they are looking primed to take game one.
And we finally get some action in this game, Dagda, because it was a slow old start to this one. But Suning, once they did find some power spikes for themselves, you can see they are happy to get in your face and fight you.
They're going straight towards this Baron as well. 20 seconds still on both Langx and Xiye. No teleport available for Xiye as well. Peanut, the king of thieves, this is your time to show why you have that title.
This is the moment for Peanut to prove himself, but SofM immediately kicks him back into the team, and Peanut is cracked on this one. Now into the pit once more. They can continue this Baron all day long. Kramer and Mark, they want to contest, but they're completely alone here. Just the duo, and they have to move to the mid lane.
And this is so beautiful from Suning, and especially SofM. The way he's been able to play around what LGD are trying to do, even at that last Dragon fight, being able to get that massive kickoff to set everything up, again making the plays on towards Peanut to stop any sort of steal coming through. SofM's on fire.
SofM playing beautifully. And I love that SofM always goes with these defensive Lee Sin builds as well. He's got a Nice Power, he's got a Warmog, he's playing the tank Lee Sin.
And that's the thing, it's caught LGD out. They heavily committed towards him at this Dragon fight, but you can't actually take him down. And then when we get towards this, with Xiye comes back in towards this play, he's able to just move around so well, tank up so much of this damage. With Huanfeng over the wall, there's not really much you can do.
Xiye jumping in to try and finish SofM, but you can see how damn tanky he is. He just doesn't go down. And the double kill comes through at the end of the play for Huanfeng. Now, with this Baron, they can really start to exaggerate this 4,000 gold lane.
LGD trying to hold on to the base, but you can't really get anyone to hit on towards this cannon. Even SofM doing a great job of hovering at the wall here to stop Xiye hitting those paddle stars.
Just look at SofM's positioning as he steps forward. He is threatening Kramer. Every time he steps forward, he's saying, I am ready to boot you back. I am ready to make the play. He's got the weak in the team here, but nobody going to go down. No follow-up from Suning on the back of that one as Langx trying to defend in the top side, but against these Baron minions, feels like a doomed play.
Mid lane inhibitor goes down, our turret goes down, the inhibitor suit to follow, and Suning can just rotate up towards this top side. They still have Bin, who's working his way through this bottom side if they want as well.
And the thing is, when we talk about, oh, hang on, that's a stun onto Kramer. Cleanse came through. Suning look like they want to keep this one going. This is not what I'd normally expect out of Suning, to just try and force the game like this, but hey, I like what I see. We're in playoffs, we're in regionals, in fact. This is a series to decide who goes to Worlds, and Suning starting off strong, but now SwordArt caught up. The Leona happy to tank on this front line, though. Looking for an engage himself, but he's locked out, and somehow walks away. True Shot Barrage blocked by Mark. Is in goes the bear. Langx kick back. Should be taken down, but the redemption keeps him safe. Everybody healthy on LGD. I take that back. Angel finishes the kill on the bear. Stuns across the board here as Peanut just about gets out with his life. Huanfeng trying to follow up on the damage. Kramer steps in here. It's all on this AD carry and on Xiye landing the bubbles. Bin blocking for Angel, who's just about out of mana. And Suning will not back down here.
The Baron is just about to run out, though, so they will be moving back away, trying to see if they can get this last turret. But honestly, if you get the Nexus turret and you get an inhibitor, I mean, from LGD's perspective, being able to hold on towards his top inhibitor, being able to hold on towards his bottom lane inhibitor as well is actually a sizable win.
And it's like, look, I'm excited that we get to see Suning try to just brute force and end a game. That's not the style I expect from them, but there was an open top lane inhibitor. Yeah. It's not like you needed to wait for minions. They could have gone to the bottom side either. They kind of went a little too far. They didn't end up going down off the back of it, but still, biting off a little more than they could chew. Ocean Soul, though, would be up for Suning if they can get it in 20 seconds time.
And you need some sort of miracle play from LGD at this Ocean Soul if they hope to hold on in this game, but it's not looking very good with Suning moving in, getting full vision control.
Leona could be in trouble here. Does have his splash available, just going to dash over the wall. SofM not willing to commit onto the kick here. And just trying to make sure that they have complete and utter control. Angel threatened by Langx, but he's not willing to commit the flash to trying to get a stun onto Angel here, who's dodging everything just about there. Gets the scatter the weak through. And actually, Mark going to follow up on an engage here. True shot across the team. LGD, they never even got to fight Suning and they lost the fight.
Suning did such a good job. The poke from Huanfeng and Angel making it so difficult for them to move in. And LGD now fully behind. Langx running back to base. This is not looking good.
Yeah, this kitty can scratch, apparently. Ocean Soul in the pocket, moving towards this bottom lane inhibitor. And they've learned from their past mistakes here. Suning saying, look, all right, we tried brute force in the end. This time around, we're going to tick the boxes, we're going to take the inhibitors, and then end the game.
I mean, look, there's nothing you can do here as LGD. A single Nexus Tower is still available. Suning are able to just go so far forward with all this regen coming in.
Yeah, LGD would need some kind of miracle to turn this one around, but this is the LPL after all. I've seen crazier throws. Suning going to finish this third inhib on the top side of the map. They're going to wait for these minion waves, wait for the supers, and then take the final blow. And we know Lions like to play with their food here. In goes SofM, kicks back Kramer, who is annihilated. And now Suning with that pick onto the AD carry and a scatter the weak to end them all. This is going to be the game as Suning, they just have to finish things off. They've just got to finish off a couple more health bars or maybe just a Nexus. Xiye gets a Q onto the likes of this Leona. Langx try to threaten. Suning aren't even interested in the Nexus right now. They want this fight. They want a brawl for themselves. They feel like they were robbed a little bit in this game, and I have to say, I feel the same way, Suning. But they got an Ocean Soul, so they can keep this up all day long. Mark the target here, but Unbreakable keeps him alive as he gets onto the fountain here. And Suning, they are desperate to get another kill, but they will be denied on this one as Langx blocks for everyone, as does Mark, who finally falls. And what a way to end the first game of our regional.
Suning eventually take the Nexus after having a bit of fun with their food at the end, but still a convincing game from Suning. A slow building mid-game that, when it hit, was absolutely unstoppable. And forget what you saw on the screen.
Yeah.
It's 1-0 to Suning.
I can't tell if I'm going crazy or if that graphic's going crazy. I'm pretty sure Suning won that one based on, you know, them annihilating LGD around their Nexus for a solid 10 minutes there. But wow, what a performance from Suning. Complete control of the game. And this is trademark Suning gameplay, right? Slow, controlled gameplay is what we want out of this team. This is the kind of mid-game we expected, but LGD, we expect this team to look for a snowball, to look for ways to find an early game lead. That didn't really happen.
Not at all. I really expected LGD to be able to get off the ground running a lot faster, especially when we saw Mark getting out onto the map early, grouping with Peanut, trying to solidify this early game lead. But when we got towards the points where they could try and accelerate the game, like fighting towards these early dragons, at these early Rift Heralds, Suning, by getting that first dragon and then foregoing a couple of Rift Heralds, meant that they were able to get to a point where they were stronger, and then superior team fighting coming in from Huanfeng, Angel, and specifically SofM.
And I have to say, when I looked at this composition, especially the top side, I said right at the start of the game, you know, we've got a Renekton, we've got a Syndra, they are playing to win the lanes, and they did fine in the lanes, but it wasn't about that really for Suning. When you look at that Lee Sin pick, usually people think, hey, this is an early game pick, this is about winning lanes, this is about ganking, this is about getting ahead. For SofM, this is a late game utility team fighter.
Yeah, it really is, and this is why I love Lee Sins in the LPL. The depth of talent we have on this pick specifically is absolutely insane, and SofM showcasing exactly what that champion can do in the right hands.
And as always, Huanfeng topping the damage chart. Surprise to no one, this prodigy on the AD carry. And I have to say, Huanfeng, it feels good to see him on the Ezreal again. With Ezreal falling out of the meta a little bit, I felt like maybe we weren't going to see it again this year, but we get to see a little bit of what he can bring out of the...
And I want to see this guy get to the world stage so badly. For him to be able to make a name for himself in his rookie year with how incredible he has been, it really does feel like we're looking at the new Uzi who goes towards worlds in his first year and then maybe, just maybe, hits those super high highs we expect from this talent.
I mean, he's already got an incredible story. If you haven't read the story of Huanfeng, head over to Twitter, go to iCrystallization. She did a translation of his story. I'm not going to try and go into it here because I'll just butcher it. I will not do it justice, but definitely give it a read. This guy has an incredible story, and I want it to continue with a world championship in his first year of competitive play. But We'll have to wait and see if that can happen. This is only game number 1. I will say, this is a more convincing game number 1 than we started the 3-0 with in the 3rd place for Suning. So they're feeling real good with the way this is started.
And it was a very peculiar start for me because I really did expect, as we said, LGD to get off to the races very quickly. It's always been a sprint, not a marathon when it comes to LGD. They need these early game snowballs to really set themselves up for the strong mid game. And when we went to that late game decision making, it's always going to be Suning favored.
Yeah, LGD not able to get that snowball, not able to get themselves ahead. I mean, Suning could just slowly but surely choke the life out of him in game number 1. We'll see if Suning can keep this kind of performance up across the whole series. We're going into a quick break. We'll break that one down